go again?
Oh, no, not again.
You've seen it before, haven't you?
Dom, how long have we been doing this?
Once more unto the breach, dear friends.
Again and again and again until we're both dead.
Hello and welcome to You've Seen It Before, movie reviews and connections in mind. F9, The Fast Saga, is the 9th film in the Fast and Furious franchise, not counting the spin-off film Hobbs and Shaw, and this film features once again Vin Diesel as Dominic Toretto, as well as the rest of the team slash family, as well as a new character played by John Cena, namely Jacob Toretto, Dominic's brother. Jacob is a master spy turned criminal after a device with world-changing ramifications, and as the case with many of these movies now, it is up to the team to stop this guy and save the world. Now, this video review will contain spoilers of F9 later on. I'll be doing my spoiler-free thoughts first, but just so you're warned, there is going to be some spoiler-free talk later on in this video. But first, let's get into the film. Is it worth seeing in theaters? Is it worth all the hype? Is it a good continuation of the Fast and Furious franchise? I would say yes, it's definitely worth seeing in the theaters. All these films, these Fast and Furious films, are very much spectacle films. And this one does, in fact, deliver on that spectacle. And it was great to see it in the theater with other people in the theater as well and reacting to some of these things. It was a good time for that front. Is it a good continuation of the Fast and Furious franchise? I would say it is a good continuation, but it is continuing a trend of rapidly diminishing returns. I mean, there's been a trend of escalation as these films, since we've done the franchise pivot right around the time of Fast 5, where they became less about street racing and cars into more heist films and action spectacle more than that. We've had the escalation of starting in Fast 5, you have dragging a safe through everything. 6 is the insanely long runway chase. 7 has they're being chased by drones and all these things. 8, they have a humongous Russian submarine that they're being chased by. In this film, yeah, there's definitely some escalation about that, but they're definitely starting to hit that ceiling of there's really not much else you can go after this point, and yet we're still going at it. It doesn't feel like there's much left in the tank after this one, that's for sure. As well as the character modes. Well, it is fun to see all these characters again, especially the camaraderie between Tyrese Gibson and Ludacris. They have their banter off each other. It was great to see Lucas Black as Sean from the Tokyo Drift, the 3rd film, back in the franchise again, although he's looking a little bit, I mean, it's sort of weird how time works. It's hard to believe that was 14 years ago now that film came out, so obviously he's going to look a little older, just as well as I almost didn't recognize Bow Wow or whatever, who played Twinkie in the 3rd film back. It was like, wow, okay, I forgot that was, he was a character. Alright, cool. Also, I mean, yes, Vin Diesel really does carry this franchise as well. However, it is also very noticeable when The Rock doesn't even get a cameo appearance. Still kind of continuing that feud of Vin Diesel and The Rock don't seem to want to do movies together anymore. And yeah, that seemed to suffer greatly from this in this film. That was a missing component. Also, the villains, John Cena, I think, does a really good job as Dominic's brother. Charlize Theron returns as Cypher. However, she she has a handful of scenes, and she doesn't really do a whole lot. That's pretty much on par with what she was doing in 8, although even less than that. But, and there's the other villain guy who, I guess is the financier. I think he's supposed to be funny. I'm not really getting those funny vibes on there. But yeah, that's really the main villain you want to focus on is John Cena as Jacob Toretto, and I think he does a pretty good job in that. And they also do a really good job in this film of exploring the mythos of these characters, as it were. They actually do a flashback of a scene that was described, an event that was described by Dominic Toretto in the very first Fast and Furious film, namely the death of his father and what happened after that. They do sort of like do a twist where, yes, you're seeing it from different perspective, and now there's kind of seeing it as like a hero spin rather than, you know, they changed some little motivations on actions as to certain things happening, and I don't know if it entirely works, but it is fun for me to see them diving deep into this lore and exploring things, which is what a good sequel would do, and trying to find those little extra corners of unexplored potential in a franchise. Like, okay, hey, we'll slot this in there and make it part of it. Yes, I think they did a good job on that front. However, in that flashback, they have different actors playing younger versions of Dom and his brother Jacob, while the actor that they got to play young Jacob looks very similar to the new the grown-up John Cena, as well as the young actor that they got to play younger Dom. He actually does look like a young Vin Diesel at that point, and I can see him because I think the flashback takes place in 1989. Considering that we're following, you know, the normal flow of time here between 1989 and 2001 when the first film came out. It's 20 years ago, man. That's insane. Yeah, I can totally buy that actor would age up into looking like Vin Diesel did at that time. My big beef is the actor that they got to play Jack Toretto, the Toretto's father. When I first see him, I mean, he's in a NASCAR car, and he's got the helmet on, so it looks a little bit better in later scenes when he's not wearing the helmet in that thing. But my first reaction when I saw this is he your brother? I mean, that actor that they got, I mean, it may not be his fault, but it's like they do not look like father and son at that point. He looks like older brother to me, and I think that's a miscast right there. And that was very distracting in those early scenes with this flashback. So, yeah, that was sort of a letdown on that front. Also, I will say this film also gets a little bit meta in its humor. Specifically, when, yes, we all know that these films kind of, you know, flip the bird to physics or whatever. But, and we're kind of used to that by now. It's sort of expected. However, when the characters themselves are pointing these things out to them, also when, you know, these random goons are shooting all around them and they're not getting hit, it's like, am I invincible? What is going on? How have we survived all of these dangerous things? It's like, it does not work in this point. There's a certain point where meta-ness can work in this franchise. The fact is, you've taken yourself seriously this entire time, and that's what's part of the enjoyment of it. Except now, it really doesn't, it really knocks me out of the picture. And a lot of those lines went to Tyrese, and I feel like that was just kind of, I mean, it's obviously the script's fault in the end, but yeah, it just didn't work in that regard. There was only one funny joke in this entire movie, and it came from an exchange between Charlize Theron's character and I forget the actor's name, but it was the financier character. I mean, it's just a random throwaway scene that doesn't really come back until the very end. But this scene, this one joke, that was the one time where I actually laughed, and that's sort of a problem. Usually these films, they actually do a pretty good job of throwing the humor about. All the other jokes, they just didn't work. I think that's a failure on this front. But yeah, I think overall this movie, it is definitely a spectacle film, and they do some fun stuff with it. And if you've seen the trailer, you know that there is a rocket engine strapped to a Pontiac Fiero, and it's amazing. It's worth it just to see the rocket Fiero. And I won't and again, no spoilers at this point, but I will tell you that the rocket engine gets put to good use in this film, and that is spectacular. But again, that brings me back to the issue of there's really not much else you can go, not much else you can do once you do that. And unless they want to, jump a literal shark, then I don't see how this franchise is. There's apparently a plan that they're gonna end the franchise with filming the 10th and 11th films back to back. I don't know how they do that, just based on how they leave it here. There is a mid-credit scene at after the credits roll, which does bring some potential, but I don't think that what they set up there is a two-film kind of conflict, in my opinion. So we'll see how they go from there. I think this is a definitely enjoyable film to watch in theaters, especially. But if you want to wait until you see it on home media or streaming, whatever, I think that's perfectly acceptable for this film. Honestly, by the 9th film in these franchises, you're either on board the Fast and Furious train or you're not. And really, I'm still on board, but yeah, I have much less hope as to the positivity of the next next installment going forward. I did want to kind of just briefly run through my my rankings of the franchise. I got all 8 films. I didn't buy Hobbs and Shaw just because, yeah, you can see my review for that on my channel with the card above. But yeah, I didn't think that was really worth owning in that regard. But if I was to slot this 9th film into the main 8, the other 8 films in the franchise, my rankings, I think, would be, starting from the bottom, I think it's fairly safe to say that Too Fast, Too Furious is definitely the bottom of the barrel on that front. It's still enjoyable, but yeah, it's definitely the worst. Next up would be Fast and Furious, the 4th one. Next, I would say the 8th film, Fate of the Furious, at least for me. Just they had did a few too many things. I would say in this ranking, I would say this is where 9 would come in. It's definitely not the worst film in this franchise by far. However, it is definitely in the lower part of the middle of the road for me. Then I would go after 9, going above F9 would be the first film, The Fast and the Furious. Then Fast and Furious 6, Tokyo Drift, the 3rd film, which I personally love, and I don't get why everyone hates on Tokyo Drift. I think it's a really fun film. Then second to best would be Furious 7. I mean, just for the send-off of Paul Walker alone is just excellent. It gets me in the feels every time. And still the best is Fast 5. Yeah, those are my my personal rankings. If you disagree with any of those positions, you can comment below. But yeah, if I was going to give Fast 9 or F9, the Fast Saga, a letter grade, I would say this is a solid C. Not too great, not too bad, just very much middle of the road for me. Your mileage may vary, but definitely go check it out and see for yourself. Now we've gotten through all the spoiler-free talk of the review. Let's get into some spoiler discussion as to certain, plot developments and character arcs that may seem familiar to you and where you may have seen them before. Now, the one thing I kind of wanted to get out of the way is I feel like it's sort of a trend now. This is now the 3rd film, I'm pretty sure. Again, I haven't seen Hobbs and Shaw in a couple of years, but I'm pretty sure there was a scene there as well as Deadpool 2, where these 3 films, F9, perhaps Hobbs and Shaw, and Deadpool 2, all have a battle/chase on top of one of these, heavy trucks. you know, like the tank trains that are going through these towns. Is this a thing? I mean, it's a really cool vehicle to have a battle on, but it feels like that's sort of becoming, it's at risk of becoming stale at this point. There's only so many times I can see a giant truck and people, you know, battling on top of the giant truck and people trying to stop the giant truck. It is fun to be sure, but I feel like that's one too many times for me. Also, I will say because, especially in these last few movies, the Fast franchise has become sort of, it's been dipping deep into the well of, you know, the soap opera cliches. They already did it once in the Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious / Fast 6, where you see a character who got killed, namely Letty. We saw you know, Dom did his reenactment of the accident that killed Letty, but then it's revealed that, oh no, Letty actually didn't die in the explosion, and that was the whole thing of Fast 6. Now we get Han, who we've seen now twice. We saw him die in Tokyo Drift. We saw him die again, that same footage from a different angle, in, I believe that was at the end of Fast 6, the trailer, the mid-credit scene. Now we see it again in F9, where he actually didn't die in the explosion, and he's alive the whole time. So yeah, we're bringing characters back from the dead at this point. And I feel like that was a big, again, they changed the timeline entirely to make sure that Tokyo, to bring Han back and into the franchise again, because he was so popular. They made because technically in the timeline, Tokyo Drift is now technically takes place after Fast 6, and yeah, that was they went through all that rigmarole. They could have maybe tried to do that again. Honestly, there's not a humongous reason for Han to be brought back into this film again, except that the character is insanely popular. That's okay, but they didn't even give enough effort on this one. At least with when they brought Letty back from the dead, she had the memory loss. It was an interesting plot point, and they actually showed that, yes, while in the reenactment in Fast and Furious, they see the car explode, they didn't actually, you know, see anything at that point. They filmed it in such a way that when they reenacted that scene in Fast 6, to show that, oh hey, she did kind of get away, but yeah, she injured for it, she lost her memory. This time, they didn't even bother to show us how Han survived the burning car. They just showed it's like, oh hey, it was a cool magic trick. That's it. That's all we get, and that's just striking me as lazy right there. And plus, it doesn't even make sense in the context of what they're saying. They took advantage of him, of Deckard Shaw going on the rampage. That just completely neuters his motivations in Furious 7, when, you know, he's like, oh hey, Toretto, I'm coming after you, and I'm starting to kill you. I'm coming after your family. You know, that's now it's like, oh hey, he's actually still alive. Again, that it'll set up something interesting when in that mid-credit scene, you know, Han comes back and looks Shaw in the eye and say, hey, and it's like, oh hey, you tried to kill me, man. That would be interesting going forward. But the scene where they show how Han survived and was hiding this whole time, that was just weak, in my opinion. That was just so weak. Also, kind of a nitpick, in my opinion. I think I'm going to have to see the movie again before I can call this a fact. But if you want, please feel free to correct me if you notice this detail correctly. Just note that in the comments below. But as I said, they recreate. They show us what the incident of Dom once his father dies and him beating up the race car driver or whatever. One little detail kind of stuck in my mind. In the clip from the first film, the police officer describes the attack and says,
Remember I told you about the guy he nearly beat to death? Toretto did this with a 3/4-inch torque wrench. He's a model of self-control.
I'm not sure if that was a 3/4-inch torque wrench that they used in F9 when they recreated that scene. It kind of looked like a monkey wrench to me, or maybe like a pipe wrench or something. I don't know. Was it actually a torque wrench? I couldn't quite tell. Again, I may need to see the movie again. If you noticed it and it actually was a torque wrench, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I feel like that was a oops on the props department there. But yeah, that's sort of a minor nitpick on that point. But otherwise, yeah, that you already got my franchise rankings. What did you think of F9, The Fast Saga? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did I miss anything in my analysis? I probably missed something. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever audience I can get. Be sure to check out my review of my next movie review, which will be for The Tomorrow War, which comes out on Amazon Prime July 2nd, I believe. As well as, once all 6 episodes have been released, I'll be doing a full series review of Loki. I believe we're 3 episodes down and 3 to go, so definitely check that out, coming soon. And if you liked this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially a subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. Again, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for watching. But just remember, there is nothing new under the sun. And yes, you have seen it before.